Hello and welcome back to Pep Talks. How are you? I genuinely hope you've had an incredible week. So, today's episode is a little different, and I need to be honest with you about why. Not long ago, I had a coaching call that stayed with me long after it had finished, long after I'd closed my laptop and gone on with my day. I kept coming back to it. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because so much of what came up felt like something I hear in different forms, in different ways, with different words from almost every woman I work with. And I thought this needs to go on the podcast. Now, obviously, I'm not going to share the details of that call because that would never be appropriate. But I am going to use some of the themes that came up as the backbone of this episode, because those patterns that surfaced in that conversation are not unique to that client. They might just be the patterns you're experiencing too. Today, I'm going to talk about three things that are all underneath it all, really just one thing. We're going to talk about what it means to start trusting yourself again, what gets in the way of that, and why, if you can make even small shifts in this area, it changes everything. Not just how you feel, but how your business runs. Let's get into it. I want to start with something that might sound small, but I promise you, for the person this happened to, it most definitely was not small. She told me that for the first time in a long time, she'd been able to list the good things that happened in her week. Just that. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But she described it as a huge shift. Because up until recently, the automatic thing, the default, was to list everything that had gone wrong, what hadn't worked, what she'd missed, what still needed doing. But through the work we've been doing together, something has changed. She is starting to notice the good stuff. She said something that I wrote down because it was so honest. She said, "I feel less scared of feeling happy. I feel less scared of feeling happy." How many of you felt that? How many of you have felt that in the past? Because I think this is more common than we ever say out loud. When you've been living in a heightened state for a long time, when life is busy and stressful and you're juggling a million things, happiness can start to feel unsafe. Like if things are going well, something must be about to go wrong. You don't quite trust the happiness. It's like you shouldn't let yourself settle into it, just in case. And what this client also realised, and this is the part that really matters, is that the thing blocking her wasn't external. It wasn't her circumstances, it wasn't other people, it was something inside of her, a pattern, a story she had been carrying. And that realization that it's internal, not external, is genuinely one of the most powerful things that can happen in any coaching relationship. Because the moment you see it, the moment you really see it, the whole picture changes. You stop waiting for things outside of you to shift. You start asking different questions and you start doing things differently because you know it's down to you. And that brings me to mornings, because this client had started doing something really simple. She'd started setting her alarm a few minutes earlier than it needed to be. Not to get up, not to exercise or answer emails or be productive, just to wake up slowly, to lie there, to ease into the day rather than rushing straight into it. And I want to talk about why that matters, because it's not just a nice idea. There is actual science behind this. That first hour of waking is really important because in that first hour, your body produces its highest cortisol spike of the day. It's called the cortisol awakening response. And it's completely natural. It's your body's way of getting you ready to face the world. And back in caveman times, it was where you were made to feel alert to your predators. It was there to help you know that there were risks outside of the cave. These days, the predators look a little bit different, right? They look like overflowing inboxes and the mental to-do list that starts the moment you open your eyes. But here's the thing. You are already in a stress response when you wake up. Your cortisol is already elevated. So if in that first hour you immediately add more stress in the form of caffeine, bad news, a frantic scroll through your phone, you're piling stress on top of stress. And here's what you need to know. Your body can't distinguish between mental stress and physical stress. It's all just stress. It all gets processed the same way. And this is exactly why this client was struggling to get up and exercise. Her body was literally signaling to her that the physical stress of high intensity exercise is too much right now. And when I shared this with her, the relief was huge. No longer was she going to berate herself for not doing a workout before work. Instead, she can honour what her body actually needs, a calmer start to the day. And that permission slip immediately eradicated any form of self-hatred that she was feeling for not being able to commit to regular exercise. So what can you do to start your day feeling calmer? Here's something really, really simple that I want to share with you. And it literally takes a couple of minutes. When you wake up, before you get out of bed, put your hands on your heart. It sounds a bit woo, I know, but try it. It creates a sense of safety, a sort of settling. And then you just say to yourself, quietly in your own head, today is going to be a good day. There's plenty of time. I don't need to rush. Everything that needs to get done will get done. You're not lying to yourself. You're not pretending everything is perfect. You're just giving your brain, which is in a really highly susceptible state for messaging in those first 15 minutes of waking, you're giving your brain something really helpful to work with instead of something harmful. Because what you feed your brain first thing in the morning sets the tone, and you get to choose what that is. Okay, so we've talked about that internal shift, the noticing what's good, the easing into the day, the knowing that it comes from you rather than external factors. Now I want to talk about something a bit more practical. Stay with me, it is connected, I promise. The same woman in that same conversation was also navigating a business decision. She'd booked herself into a 4-day exhibition, a huge event, the kind of thing that on the surface looks like exactly what a serious business owner should be doing. Visibility, brand awareness, getting out there, meeting new people. Except this client was already full. She was already turning people away. She was already overwhelmed. And already at the point where she actually needed, more than anything, less rather than more. And when we looked at the real cost of this exhibition, not just the stand fee, but the equipment she'd need to buy, the days away from her existing clients, the prep work, the travel, the energy she'd spend before, during, and after, it was significant. And for what return? To attract clients she didn't currently have capacity to serve. Now, I'm not sharing this to make anyone feel bad if they've ever booked a stand at an event or done something similar. I've made similar mistakes myself more than once. We see an opportunity, we get excited, we say yes before we've run the numbers or checked it against where we actually are. What I want you to take from this is a question, a single question that I now ask myself and that I ask my clients before any significant yes. Does this opportunity match where my business actually is right now? Not where I want it to be, not where I think it should be, but where it is. Because activity is not a strategy, it just feels like it. There is a really important difference between being busy and moving forward. And I know you know this because I think most of us have experienced that feeling of getting to the end of a packed week and thinking, what actually happened? What moved? What changed? I was busy every single day and somehow nothing is different. That's not a discipline problem. It's a direction problem. And the solution isn't to do more, it's to do less by choosing better. By choosing based on what's actually in alignment with your goals, your capacity, your joy, and your energy. When my client and I really looked at what her business needed in that moment, it wasn't more clients, it was more space, more time away from her business rather than in it, more time to see the bigger picture rather than running on empty trying to serve her overloaded client diary. She needed to build the structure that would allow the business to grow, not add more weight to a structure that was already under strain. And she knew that. She'd known it for a while, actually, which brings me to the third and final part of what I want to share with you today. At one point in the conversation, she said something that I think you might need to hear too. She said, "My body says no more people, but my brain says you should be expanding." My body says no, my brain says you should. That's the tension. I hear it every single week. And here is what I know to be true after years of doing this work, both with clients and for myself. The body, your body, is almost always right. Not because we should ignore logic, not because we should just follow through on every feeling and never make a difficult decision, but because so many of the women I've spent years working with are sometimes have spent decades overriding their own instincts, listening to the should instead of the quiet knowing, doing the thing that looked right rather than the thing that felt right. And it has cost them. It's cost them in energy, it's cost them in health, it's cost them in that deep bone exhaustion that doesn't shift with a good night's sleep. The should has a really fucking loud voice. It speaks in the language of ambition. It quietly says to you, you told people you were going to do this. You don't want to miss out. Other people manage this, so why can't you? Surely you're just being over dramatic. You're probably just being lazy. And that word lazy, I want to just stop and pause there for a moment, because so many of us were handed that word as a child, told that resting meant we weren't trying hard enough, that the people who achieved things were the ones who kept going, who pushed through, who never stopped, who worked hard. I was told that, and I carried it for a really long time. And to be fair, I'm still unpicking it now. But here's what I want you to think about. Are you achieving anything when you're in burnout? No, of course you're not. You're surviving, you're getting through, you're functioning, maybe, but you're not creating, you're not thinking clearly, you're not making good decisions, you're not showing up as the best version of yourself for your clients or your family or yourself. So if strategically building in rest, even if it's just 5 minutes with a cup of tea and nowhere to be, is the thing that keeps you out of burnout and in your business for the long game, then rest is your business strategy. Start small. Genuinely, start with 5 minutes. Prove to yourself that you are safe to sit still, that nothing collapses, that you're allowed to stop. Because when you do, when you come back to your work rested, you will be more focused, more creative, more capable of making the kind of decisions that actually move things forward. The clarity that comes from that stillness is worth more than any amount of frantic doing. So, coming back to where I started, it's all the same thing. Learning to notice what's going well, choosing to ease into the morning rather than brace against it, asking whether the busy thing is actually the right thing to do, listening to your body when it's quietly, persistently trying to tell you something. It's all trust. Trust that you are allowed to feel good. Trust that slowing down isn't falling behind. Trust that your instincts have been trying to tell you, trying to help you all along, and that maybe, just maybe, that instinct is worth listening to. So, if this has landed for you in any way, shape, or form today, I want to leave you with one question. Not a big one, not something that requires a strategy or a plan or a complete life overhaul, but this. Where do you already know the answer, but you've been talking yourself out of it? Because I think for a lot of us, that answer is already there. It's been there. You've just been waiting to feel more certain or more ready or more whatever it is you think you're supposed to feel before you allow yourself to trust yourself. You are allowed to trust yourself right now. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to wait. If this is the kind of work that would feel really useful to do with someone in your corner, someone who can reflect back what you already know and help you build the structure that makes it stick, then I would love to have that conversation with you. You can find the link to book a no obligation chat with me down in the show notes. It's just you and me talking about where things are and whether working together might be the right next step for you. And if you'd like to experience a little of what it's like to work with me before making any decisions, I'd love to see you inside my Clarity and Calm journaling circle. It's free. It runs every Tuesday evening on Zoom. And it is, if I do say so myself, a really beautiful hour. Just some time for you to step out of your business and reflect on what's actually going to move things forwards. You'll find the link for that in the show notes too. And if this episode has resonated with you, please do share it with someone who might need to hear it as well. You never know whose day it might change. Take care. I'll be back with you very soon. And as ever, if anything has resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Please do get in touch. Again, you can find all my details down there in the show notes. Have a wonderful week, and I will be back with you very, very soon.